Welcome to Tokyo Talks, a global podcast born in Tokyo where creatives, entrepreneurs, and changemakers share real, unfiltered stories of building bold lives at the intersection of business, culture, and identity. I'm your host, Ananya, and in this 10-episode season, we're diving into the unconventional career paths, personal growth, and the unique ways our guests are reshaping Japan and themselves in the process. So if you're chasing a dream or questioning the status quo or genuinely just searching for something that's meaningful to your heart, you're in the right place. Today's guest is someone at the edge of creativity and business. Ameya is a multimedia artist based in Tokyo and previously director at Push, a well-established creative studio here. And born in Japan in a Telugu and Tamil-speaking family, I'm also Telugu myself, she was raised in Tokyo for most of her childhood before living in Arkansas, Mumbai, Singapore, LA, and Santa Cruz. She's worked with Google, Nike, Dickies, and models and artists such as Rola, David, Ravina, and more. And is also releasing her own film as well, which I also make a small appearance myself. But her story is full of determination and full of lessons for anyone building their own path. So with that, let's get into it.
Hi.
No, I'm really looking forward to this and having you as the guest for our first episode because genuinely, I think you kind of demonstrate the kind of theme of this podcast. And I originally found you after your viral interview on another podcast. Maybe that was like 4 or 5 years ago.
2022年だから I think 2021.
2021, wow.
Yeah.
And I saw that podcast and I literally messaged you and stalked your account for like a couple of years, I think, because I was like, I need to be friends with this girl because you had such a unique background. And luckily, after desperately wanting to be your friend, you were the producer for the Naomi Watanabe podcast, which was huge.
Yeah.
And I remember you reached out and we were talking about it and you're like, you should apply.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh. And you offered me that opportunity and I was actually on the podcast thanks to you. And that's how we first met.
Yeah, that is how we first met. Wow.
Which is insane. And I feel like you have a very, through your work as well as your life, you have a very unique perspective of the world and the people around you through all these different experiences and stuff. And so I'm going to get right into our first question today.
Okay, let's go.
What would you say is your biggest passion in life?
My biggest passion is just to do what I want to do.
That's valid, yeah.
I'm really bad at doing things that I'm not good at, and I don't like to do it, and I don't like to force myself to do it. So I think, my biggest passion in life is doing what I want to do. And the second part to that is like making things that generate empathy.
What do you mean by that?
So what I mean by that is like, I started off by like making documentaries and that's how I became a director. But initially it was because I wanted to tell stories of people that were also like minorities like myself. And I think I mean, we see it now more than ever, but like I was seeing like the chaos of the world and like it was the first Trump elections. And I was just thinking about like the kind of like social media algorithms that were in place, everything that was happening and how divided like the internet culture is. And I wanted to start making work that I hoped people would see and realize that people that don't look like them or have like different beliefs than them still like live in the same universe as them, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And I'm curious, so what essentially, do you feel like that feeling of empathy and like wanting to create that with other people, where do you feel like that came from?
I think it just like felt like I was like growing up in Japan and I felt really like unseen and like people didn't really understand me. But through that, I was able to understand people more and kind of see different walks of life. And I was very fortunate, like you said, like to live in multiple places and see so much life at a really young age. And I think from that, I realized like, oh, this is like a huge gift to be able to see the world and see things that most people don't get to see, I think. And putting that to the forefront. Basically, I wanted to be more of like a microphone.
A
So
microphone?
Yeah.
That's so... where did you grow up in Japan?
I grew up in Setagayaku in
Nice.
Kaminoge. Shout out.
Wow. And what was it like growing up in Japan, especially around, when was it? Around like the 2000s?
Yeah, early 2000s.
Were there other people that looked like you or had backgrounds like you?
Yeah. I mean, I went to international school, so there was a lot of people that looked like me, and it was very diverse. But after school, it was very not diverse. So I'm at like Konami at Futakotamaga, and it's like all Japanese kids and me. And like Kumon, like everyone goes to Kumon, but it's like all Japanese kids and me.
Yeah.
Mitaina. So that was like a complete like 180 switch of like being in like the UN of like kindergarten to like just the most homogenous kind of like spaces ever. Yeah.
And do you feel like, how did that affect you as a child versus, I mean, it sounds like it kind of lent itself to, you know, your experiences as an adult, but what was it like as a kid, and like how did it shape you?
I think as a kid, like I like just sort of like had to really fight to navigate both worlds. Like in school, it was like I spoke fluent Japanese, and then like being in class, we like you're put in like Japanese class as well in international school, and I was in like native Japanese, and like the kids were like, you're not one of us because you're not like ethnically Japanese. Like kikko nanka, it's very rare to be not mixed, like to not have one parent that's Japanese and speak Japanese. Even now, I think it's quite rare. And so at that time it was even worse. And then at like Kumon, stuff like that, they were like, what is this? Like, what are you doing here? So I think in that sense, it was kind of like hard for me. Yeah.
Did you go to America after that? And what kind of spurred that?
I went to America when I was like 6. My uncle lived in Arkansas. Gotcha. My parents were like, we need an American baby. So we had my brother born in America. My parents had to plan like a lot for like insurance, blah, blah, and like, you know, like prenatal care and stuff like that. And then I lived in Arkansas for 5 months and I loved it.
Really?
Yeah.
What was it like?
It was amazing. Like, it's keko naka inaka. Like, it's really like rural America. But I had nothing to compare it to. And they have so much space in America.
Yeah, they do.
The Walmart was significantly big.
Yeah.
I have never seen anything that big in my life. Like, the kids section, huge. It was like Disneyland for me.
That's true. Growing up in a place like Tokyo, I can't even imagine. Like,
I've never seen that much space ever.
It felt like I have, you know, relatives that live around like the East Coast, West Coast, but like I see how they live, and I'm like, these are mansions. Yeah, like actual mansions.
It's crazy.
Not the Japanese style mansion.
Yeah, I mean, I really liked living in Arkansas, and the food was really good, and to us, like, American food is so like coveted. So like to get like Nerds and like Laffy Taffies and like Jolly Ranchers, I was like, wow, you can get this anytime. Like,
did you like those snacks?
I loved it.
Really?
Yeah, because we could only get it if someone from America came to visit us, and you know that stuff when you're like a kid is like crack. Like Nerds, it's literally just like sugar inside. Yeah, you know.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You have never had Nerds?
No, I know what you're talking about. I'm in denial. But so what was it like living in America? Like after being in Japan for a while, like did you feel like yaku culture shock, like opposite culture shock?
No, not really. I think white kids were really confused. It was only white and black kids in Arkansas because it's in the South technically. But I don't know. I just like had a really good time, and you know, I watched Dora the Explorer, and I was like, "This is great."
Love that. Love that.
Oh, and I really liked Go-Gurt.
Go-Gurt was amazing.
So good.
Actually incredible
food.
But I'm curious, did you know what you wanted to do as a kid?
Absolutely not.
Okay, sweet.
I just knew I had to become someone. Yeah, that was like the only thing that I would always write in my diary, but I didn't know what the medium of it was.
So you had like a strong conviction, like I'm gonna be doing something.
Yeah. And I was like, I need to do something.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
I had the exact same thing.
Really?
Yeah. I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to do something big. I don't know what.
I don't know
like,
what.
I know.
Something
like, it's written in the stars or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's crazy. When did you kind of like see like the film industry, or like what at what point where you're like, oh, this is cool? Or maybe am I jumping too fast?
No, you're good.
Okay.
So I was like 18, 19. I'd moved back to Japan. I was living in America for 4 years during high school. And first of all, I needed money. So I Googled like jobs like gaijins can do in Japan. Yeah. There's very few. Yeah. It's like you can work as like an English teacher, which I'm not American citizen. So they were like, no. Oh. And or you can like model, or you can tutor, I think, or babysit. So I was like, I will do everything. So I was babysitting. I was like teaching SAT on the weekends. Yeah. And I would like model when I could. And I think that was like my first exposure to like being on set. Yeah. And did you like it? Was it like... Yeah, I was like 19 and I was like, I'm making 6 figures because it's like Jumanji. Oh. It's like, which is like 100,000 figures.
It's like, oh no, that's not 6 figures at all. Oh.
But like when you're in college and like minimum wage is like, I think it was like 980 yen at that time. You're aghast if you're making a lot of money. And it's like for doing nothing, I was like, just my genetics, great. Like I just need to show up like this.
Were you doing modeling and stuff as well?
Yeah, so I was doing modeling, and I think from there I like started to notice like how a set functions. And then I was like, oh, like I want to kind of like keep going up in this like industry. Yeah. Interesting.
And you could just kind of go and continue to be a model. Like what changed there? What did you study in college?
I studied economics.
Okay.
And communications. Yeah.
So it's completely unrelated.
Completely
That's
unrelated.
Crazy. I guess I actually don't know about this. Like how did you end up in film then? Like just by chance after that?
No, so I started like as a photographer, right? So while I was modeling and while I was on like fashion shows and sets and stuff like that, I started shooting photos. And the thing is, like at that time, film was really cheap. Like you could buy a camera on like Craigslist for 3,000 yen. Now like film is like really expensive and people are like so fancy, but like it's like really expensive to buy like your first like Sony camera because it's at least 100,000 yen, right? When you calculate that in minimum wage hours, that's almost like a month and a half of your paycheck, which is like I have to pay rent. There's no way that all of that is possible. So yeah, it was very cheap to buy a film camera, and then it was cheap to buy film because it was like 2,000, 3,000 yen. So I was like, I can just skip a couple of meals, eat a lot of onigiri, and it's gonna be dinners. Yeah, a lot of girl dinners, and the math will math. Okay. And it was fine. Yeah. And then I was dating a guy at that time that was like, you're never gonna make it. He was like, what are you doing? You're not going to make money out of college, like shooting photos. And I was just like doing it for the funsies, you know? Yeah. And then he said that. I was like, okay. Like, I'm like not someone that's very like petty or like mean. I never really like yell back or anything, but I take notes, if that makes sense. So it like affected you? Yeah, it affected me so much.
But I feel like you're a very nonchalant person. Yeah. I would not expect that to affect you at all.
I was like so young and it like hurt me. Yeah. It hurt me a lot. And so I was like, I must prove him wrong. So then I started like taking photos, submitting it to magazines, being like, hey, like, would you like my photos? Da da da. And from there I started becoming a photographer. And I remember like actually like my last job before I graduated was at BuzzFeed.
Wow,
I know.
That's crazy. How did you even get that job?
They reached out to me on Instagram. So someone saw like the photos I used to post and was like, hey, we're looking for someone like you to join BuzzFeed. Would you like to come intern for us? And I was like one of the first video interns. And so I joined. I had a lot of fun and I was like, okay, I really like this video space. And during that time, I did my first like 30-minute documentary as well. And after that, like I graduated college and I remember like I didn't even do like job hunting. And so my dad wasn't living in Hong Kong at the time. He flew to Japan and was like, what are you doing with your life? What do you mean you didn't job hunt, especially like your last year of college, right? Everyone's like, oh, I got to be at Goldman Sachs. I got to do this, do that. I'm not doing any of that. And I just like freelanced straight out of college. And my dad was like, you are broke. I was like, you don't see the picture.
That would like freak out my dad as well.
Yeah.
Or at least it would freak me out too, because all my peers would be doing like something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was in econ, so you can imagine.
Yeah.
Everyone's like really like, you know, coming to class with like a suit on because they just did their interview at like JP Morgan or like, you know, wherever. And I was like, I'm not doing all that.
And like, did you just have a strong conviction? You're like, this is going to work out? Or were you like doubtful? Like what was
I just like knew that it wasn't my path to like work in like finance or like banking. Like my dad already like worked in that industry, and like even his friends were like, we can get you a job at Goldman or like MetLife or like wherever. And I was like, no, I don't want that. And I also didn't want to like follow in his footsteps. I wanted my own space. Yeah, so I was like, something will work. And I also just really believed in like taking maximum risk.
Oh, wow.
I was watching that like really famous like influencer guy. I forgot his name. The one who does like a lot of like business stuff.
I feel like they all just like popped out like 2 years ago.
No, this guy's been doing it for a minute.
Oh, wow.
But anyways, he was saying that like in your early 20s, it's really important to take maximum risk because you don't have any kids. Your rent is really cheap. You're like, sure, like everything sucks. And I didn't have a bed frame. But like, you know, I was like, this is the time to do that. And so that's why I did that.
I was reading The Defining Decade when I was in my first job at Amazon. And it was like also the book that like changed it for me, where I was like, oh my God, like I need to take as many risks as I can right now because truly there's nothing stopping me. But it's pretty scary to like do that because I think once you start making a little bit of money, it's like the golden handcuffs in the sense that like
absolutely
you start to realize what you can buy and like the lifestyle you can afford, and to suddenly like throw that away and put that into like whatever it is, projects or investments, it's like it's scary. But I think that's something that you can't have too much attachment to in your 20s.
Yeah, I think so. It's actually really rewarding now being in the later half of my 20s and seeing so many of my friends who went into more traditional paths, and they're now having their life question of like, what am I doing at this job at Google? Or like, what am I doing at this job at like Meta? You know what I mean? Where they're like, I didn't actually want this. And like everyone has their own journey, and it's like perfectly fine to go through that. But I'm really glad I did the work earlier on because people now see me and they're like, you have so much clarity in your life and you have a foundation. It was like, yeah, because I built that. For the past decade.
And even as a director, like you're one of like the youngest probably in the room, but like you've had more experience than probably many other people as well because you started so early. Yeah,
exactly. And because I took that risk really young. Yeah.
Good for you. That's like insane to have that kind of conviction and like be willing to do that.
Yeah.
Because I definitely was scared coming out of college to like take a jump that big. So it's seriously insane. But I'm curious.
Just delusional.
Oh. Love that for you.
Thank you.
But I want to hear more a little bit about the early days of working in the industry and the kind of like your first steps towards, because I think you mentioned you weren't necessarily like obviously like a director straight off the bat. Like you were doing a lot of things. I didn't even go to
film school.
Oh, you know? How did you even like
YouTube? Shout out to YouTube. Whoa, shout out to every Indian and Russian dude's like, today I'm going to teach you how to do proxies.
Even for like filming and stuff?
Yeah. For everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what were you doing first when you were like trying to get into this industry? Did you want to be a director?
No. My first documentary, like I did it like in college because one of my friends, she was in Aoyama Gakuen, and her teacher was a trans woman who was married to another woman and had kids. And basically Japan didn't want to acknowledge that she was married. Or else they have to legalize same-sex marriage for everyone. And it was like a whole thing. And trans people aren't allowed to have kids in Japan. And I was like, this is crazy. And she was like, you work at BuzzFeed, you should tell BuzzFeed News. And I did. And at first, they didn't want to publish the story. They were like, I don't think this is significant enough. But one journalist took it up, and she wrote an article about it. And it was a really good article. But I was thinking about, like, when you read articles, it's quite two-dimensional. You don't actually see people. And if you don't know if someone's funny or not from an article. It's kind of rare.
Yeah.
And, you know, this woman has like 3 kids at home. One of them is like, you know, almost the same age as me. And I was like, they were like kind of like a modern family almost.
Yeah.
And I was like, I kind of just wanted to capture like what a beautiful family they have. So I like put an ad on Craigslist. I was like looking for like a videographer. And someone replied, and I was like, I have this idea, this documentary I want to shoot. She was like, sure. Got 2 other friends to come shoot with me. And then we shot it. And I was like, cool, I'm just going to upload this on YouTube and it's going to be cool. And it took like 3 years or something to edit. Yeah.
3 years?
2-3 years. Yeah. Because we had like hours of footage. And it's so like, it's such a complicated topic. So we were like, we just wanted to get it right. And then that released when I was like 22 or 23. And it won a couple of awards and then like was on the news and stuff like that. And a lot of people watched it in that, especially in the queer community. And then they were like, this is the director. And I was like, shit, that's me. And that was my first thing, which like, I realized it's really difficult out the gate to direct like a 30-minute film because like most people start with like 30 seconds or like a minute, but like the coordination of 30 minutes is a lot.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. But I was like, I had nothing to compare it to. Yeah. So I was like, how hard can it be? And boy, did I find out.
But I mean, you unintentionally became a director, basically.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And I'm also curious, so like at that point, at your workplace, were you also becoming a director, or were you still, what were you doing at the time?
At that time, I was like, I had a full-time job at a design agency called Design It. And I was editing videos full-time. But it was a lot of like B2B stuff. And I was like, this is not what I want to do. And like earlier on in my career, as I was saying before, I was like a freelance photographer. And then I joined an agency. And the boss that I had was like really weird. Like my first interview, he was like, by the way, everyone is a man here. And I was like, okay. And he was like, they're all going to want to fuck you. I was like, that's a personal problem. Like, and I imagine I'm like 2021, right? This is like the first time I've been interviewed. Actually, the second time I've been interviewed for anything.
An interview?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was like a room just like this.
Jesus.
And then the next day on set, he was like, by the way, like, how many people have you slept with? And I was like, I was like, Nihongo wakanai. I was like, I'm not.
This was in Japanese.
Yeah, it was in Japanese too.
Oh my gosh.
And like, I think that really put me off, like being the only girl on set all the time at that time. And like, just like, especially like the Japanese film industry is very, like, it can be very sexist. There's like a really huge like power hierarchy. And I was like, I can't do this. But you know, the skills that I had was like video editing, making videos, shooting photos. And I went on Glassdoor.com and I typed video editing and I got a job and I was like, cool. And that's the only job in my life I've applied to for, actually.
This design job?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Every other job, someone reached out to me, was like, do you want to?
Because you were saying, like, at least in your industry, like, people don't use LinkedIn. They use, like, Instagram.
They use Instagram.
Like, social media. Like, that's your portfolio.
That's your portfolio always.
Which, like, broke my mind. I was like, whoa.
Yeah. Because when I was, like, in college, I would just go to parties and they'd be like, what's your Instagram? And that's how you would get jobs.
Yeah.
And I quickly realized, like, this is your portfolio, essentially.
Whoa.
And so that's how, like, BuzzFeed was able to hire me. That's how, like, Vice was able to hire me. And so I just, like, kept doing that, like, through Instagram.
So, I mean, obviously, like, I imagine being on set and, like, working with all these people must have been insane. But was that also the time that you got to shoot Rola for the first time?
I shot Rola, I think, a bit before I joined that weird agency.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Then it must have been, like, really early on in your career.
It was really early on. I was, like, 20, 21.
How did that happen?
It was, like, just, like, an event. One of my friends worked at Vice, and we just went to Sendai for another Vice thing before that. And he was like, what have you been up to? And I was like, I'm shooting photos now. And he was like, sick. And then, he reached out to me and he was like, we have no budget, but we would like you to shoot this event for like Parco and Shibuya. And it was like when Parco was like opening back up again. So usually for these things, they invite like a lot of celebrities on like the opening night. And oh my God, I remember like everyone who was anyone was in this building, crazy. Right? Which is really crazy. And I'm shooting film. not even digital.
Yeah.
So whether or not these photos will turn out is between God and me.
Yeah.
That's all I have. Shikamo, it's not like you have like extra lighting or anything like that. I just have to like be skilled enough to like measure the lighting and hope that it works out. And and then I remember we were on the rooftop and they were like, by the way, Rola's here. And I was like, who? What? And I was like, I like at first I was like, it must be some other shorty named Rola. Like, can't be
her.
It can't be like Zarora mitaina. And they're like, you have like 2 minutes to shoot her. And I was like, oh my God. And it was like very quick. She just like stood in front of the camera and I was like, can I have you like here, there? And she like smiled at me. And the crew like was like talking to her. And I remember she like looked at me while all the other guys were there and she smiled just at me. Oh, and I was like, so I was so happy.
Yeah.
And then I took the picture and I was like, I pray this works out.
Yeah.
Shikama, I had 5 cameras on me because I was like, one of these film cameras has to work.
Yeah. One of them.
Yeah.
But I remember you saying that was kind of like a very pivotal point in your career, just like with everything that you're experiencing and stuff like that.
Because it's like I was very fortunate for that day. And then after that, I, was trying to get something more like permanent. And then I worked at that weird agency with that weird man.
Yeah.
And I just kind of like realized like no one has anything they can offer me in the sense that like you can't offer me anything bigger than this as a photographer. Does that make sense? You can't offer me any more exposure because who? Yeah. Because what? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that was like, I think good for me in a way. Whereas like I can work for the happiness of myself. And not that I ever was like, oh, I need to shoot like celebrities or something. It was just something that kind of happened. But I think that like freed me. And then working like in a more like corporate space and then working in in an international design company, like it was the first time I was working and I didn't have to use 50% of my brain to protect myself and think about like who's coming towards me, who's behind me, and like have so much like situational awareness. And it was the first time I was able to use 100% of my brain to critically think. And I was like, this is insane. And my coworkers were like, it's insane that Gyakuni you've experienced anything else, if that makes sense. Yeah.
I'm so sorry you had to go through that. Like, that sounds just awful.
It was wild.
But it's also, I think, like you having that experience, like no one's can just like hand you that.
Yeah.
And also like someone like Rola, who like especially is like someone brown living in Japan. I feel like she was one of the only people that was like even remotely able to like represent us.
Absolutely. That's why I was like so gassed.
Yeah. I'd like to take a moment today to talk about today's sponsor, North Candles. North Candles makes handmade, scented, natural soy candles that are based in Hokkaido with nostalgic Western-style scents. They are the perfect gift for foreigners in Japan to make your home away from home feel like an actual home. They're great for anyone who likes scented candles that are very American, Canadian, just really cozy scents. This one, for example, is the apple cider one from their winter holiday collection. And I absolutely love it because you just get that whiff of cinnamon and just winter holiday cozy feelings, and it's so nice. The company was started in 2018 by a couple from Hokkaido and Canada, thus making North Candles. They have over 50 scents, and their most popular ones are the pumpkin spice, of course, from their fall collection, and also the holiday collection that they have from the winter season. And you can get fast shipping anywhere in Japan, and I personally got the winter collection myself and absolutely loved it. They have all sorts of scents that match the perfect personality and style, and because it's natural and 100% soy, if you don't like chemical-based candles that will give you headaches and stuff, these were perfectly fine. I've kept them running for like hours and just absolutely love the scent that just fills your room. It's so nice. And today we have a special discount for our listeners. Get 10% off at northcandles.jp with the code TALKS, that's TALKS, and enjoy your discount and enjoy your candles. And thank you guys so much for sponsoring our podcast. And with that, let's get back into the episode. And I'm curious to like hear a little bit more about in your career, whether it was that time or another time, what did you kind of feel like within you was like the biggest challenge, like career and personal wise, like to get through?
I think like honestly, to be a director, you need a lot of grit and you need to be good at like politicking, actually. I think no one ever talks about that.
How so? Because I feel like you're really good at that.
Because like essentially like being a leader of any kind, right, is you are orchestrating human energy. So what that means is that you need to be able to understand how everyone plays their instrument. No two people are going to play the violin the same way. No two people are going to shoot camera in the same way. No two people are going to edit the same way. So you need to understand how all of that works. And then you have to deal with a lot of people's personalities, right? I remember I was like 23, 24, I want to say. I did 5 Nike commercials in 3 days, and I'm the director. There's 70, 80 people on set.
Yeah.
And it was like so stressful, and like it's a lot as well. But I was like thinking like, damn, this is what it means to be a director. It's like everyone looks at you. And the thing is, in most of the industries, right, like there's many different departments, obviously, but everyone's like talking over like Zoom or like Slack. The difference on set is everyone is watching you in 3D in real time. I cannot like turn off the mic and be like, damn, that person sucks. You can't do that. Right? You can't like, you have to have like the same face for everything, and you can't show stress as much.
Interesting.
You know? But not everyone, but a lot of people will put their stress onto you, and you have to kind of carry that. And you can't like yell at people. You have to be calm. Yeah, I think that's probably one of the most difficult things.
Did you feel like it was, as a leader in that space, like was it difficult to do that? Like lead people, or like what did you struggle with versus like excel at?
I think what I like struggled with is like, I think working under really tight deadlines. Also just with the nature of like set, like things are changing all the time. Like we had to like recast like almost all of our models like the weekend before that we're shooting on Tuesday. And it's like no one's responding over the weekend. Like no gym show is like, you know, trying to like really like reach out to you at that time. Things like that. So it's a lot of like problem solving, but I was so blessed. Like I had a really good producer, Ameya, who really like, you know, hustled her ass off, and like everyone at Push as well, like really worked so hard on like all the things that I've done. So I think in that sense it was like easier, but yeah, I think just like trying to get everything together and hoping that it'll work out is hard.
Yeah.
And I think especially for commercials, people don't realize, because it's only like a minute, right, that they're watching on their feed. But as a director, you're on it for anywhere between 3 to 6 months for anything that you're doing. So it's a lot of patience, and it's a lot of time, and it's a lot of people.
In those like high stress environments, like what was kind of your top strategy like for success? Like whether it's politics or like how you're like, okay, this is why like I stand out like versus other people because of this skill.
I mean, I think that's more maybe for other people to say or evaluate, but I think for me, what I like try to think about is that like everything you need to succeed is within you. It's there somewhere.
Already.
Yeah. And that you're meant to be here. And then from there you can move, if that makes sense.
Yeah. That's a good point. That's true. There's no like amount of external advice that's gonna like completely change your outlook.
No.
It's more of just like what you believe.
Yeah.
That's really true. And I feel like that changed for me as well when I like decided to move here.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I gotta do things for myself. Nothing changed. It was just me.
But it's really brave that you were able to move here by yourself.
I felt like I had no other choice in order to like reach self-actualization. That's all I had to do.
That's how I felt a lot. Like was like there is no other choice. So when people were like, "Oh, you're like really brave or courageous," I'm like, "This was the only path, babes." You know? Yeah.
And I think it's like the decision paralysis we have when it's like, "Oh, you can be like whatever you want when you graduate." If anything, that's kind of like just painful.
Yeah.
Like I found it super stressful. I was like, I don't know what I want to do. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the decision paralysis is a lot, and I think there's so much pressure on like young people to succeed, and especially like the American system of like getting into college and like getting your SATs done, and then like applying to college, and it's expensive, and then you have to take a loan out. Like there's so much that goes into it, and like, you know, or even if your like family is paying, like I was lucky my dad paid for my tuition, but it's like so much riding on you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's like they put so much hopes and dreams and aspirations into you succeeding.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I have a lot of empathy for young people. I think it's really, really difficult. And every year it just gets harder especially for undergrads.
Yep. Yeah. It's just getting worse and worse.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say the same thing to them. Everything they need to succeed is definitely within them.
Yeah. I think that's really good advice. I'm gonna like switch the gears a little bit here and kind of reflect a little bit more on your identity, like growing up in Japan and stuff like that. What was it like living in Japan, and how is it different from like childhood versus now, like in your experience?
I think as a kid, like I was like really outgoing, really chatty. They used to call me like Jane Chatty.
Jane Chatty.
Yeah. At school. And I think the main difference is like I'm more like ochisuiteru now.
Relaxed.
Yeah.
And calm.
And I reserve my energy
for
more. I think people at work think I'm like really extroverted.
Really?
Yeah. And I'm like, I'm very introverted. Yeah. Actually, I'm just good at being extroverted. And when there's money on the line, I can be a paid actor.
You can be Jane Chatty.
Yeah, I can. But when there's not, I'm like, I'm not acting for free. And I don't like to pretend that I like people or like anything like that. Either not that I dislike people, but like I wouldn't like tell someone, oh, I'd like to hang out with you unless I really meant that, if that makes sense.
But I also think that's different from like Japanese standards, where it's like I think there is a pressure to kind of conform to like a certain dialogue and like a certain societal expectations. And at least for me, like moving to Japan, I didn't expect a lot of that, and I felt like a pressure to pick between like my true beliefs versus you know, kind of what's expected, and it was a little difficult in that sense. Did you feel that in any way?
Yeah, definitely. I think especially in my early adulthood, I like wanted to fit in, and I wanted to be like accepted and like understood. But I think I like sort of realized like that's not the thing that's like the most beautiful about me. Like if I were to conform, and it feels like really uncomfortable to me to be someone that I'm not. So I was like, I can't do this. But I have a lot of respect for people that are like able to do jobs they don't like, or like able to be a certain person at work and a certain person at home. I think that's a skill in and of itself, but I'm like so bad at that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That's a skill, honestly. Like I'm trying to be as nonchalant as possible, but like it's tough.
It's
like,
really tough. Yeah.
Yeah. But given like, I guess your experiences living in Japan, would you like, let's say if someone was watching this, would you recommend to them to live in Japan potentially? Absolutely. Yeah.
Now, the reason I think this is because over the past year, I was like very fortunate to visit a lot of other spaces. So I went to like LA, New York, London. Most other metropolitan like cities are extremely expensive, like unfathomably expensive. And being a young person is already insanely tough, especially with like the salaries that we're seeing in like today's economy. I think in Japan, you can at least eat for cheap and eat good. And that's a huge blessing. You can still go out and have a life. So I definitely recommend it. And I think this is kind of controversial, but I feel like the film industry in Japan doesn't have as much nepotism as perhaps other spaces. Yeah. Especially India. Like I think the nepotism is insane. Yeah. It's so insane. Because
that's true.
Especially going to international school in India. I went to school with like a lot of like kids that were like kids of like celebrities, essentially like 3, 4, 5 generations of like actors or like directors, and nobody in my family does that. And I think being in Japan, no one ever asks you who your parents are. You know, no one ever asks you if you have like like family in the industry. I've never been asked that in my life. No one ever asks you, did you go to film school? Never. And I think that freed me so much, because you can really choose who you want to be. Does that mean it's easy to get hired in Japan? No. But does that mean it's possible? Yes. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So there's more opportunity. Financially, it's a lot more doable to live in like a metropolitan city. Yeah, I think that is an experience people in their 20s should ideally do, or even any age for that matter. Yeah. Yeah, that's very true.
Like if you want to live below your means and like career switch, it's absolutely possible, I think, more in Japan than any other country. It might take a year and you might have to like hustle really hard, but it's possible. Yeah. Which reminds me, like, I remember the day I decided to be a director. I was like 21, just got out of college, finished my first film. And even after I finished my first film, I didn't think that I was going to be a director. I was like, this is just this thing that I did.
It's like a fun project.
Yeah, it's cool. And a couple of months before that, I met like Komatsunana on set.
Whoa.
Because like this woman that I knew was a makeup artist, and she was like, I need a translator for the set that I'm doing because it's for Harper's Bazaar, Vietnam. And everyone else speaks English. And I was like, sure, yeah, I'll come. I get on set. Girl, tell me why it's the magazine cover from Komatsunana.
That's crazy.
And I brought my camera with me because I always bring my camera. And I was like taking a few pictures. And then she like looked at me. I was like, oh, sorry. And the makeup artist was like, oh, this is Ameya. She's really chill. Don't worry. And she was like, okay, cool. And then Nana-chan like started talking to me. She was like very curious about India and like loves to travel a lot. And she was like, we should be friends. And I was like, okay.
That's wild.
And then fast forward a couple months later, she was like, hey, I have a couple lines in English in an upcoming movie. Do you mind coaching me through it? And I was like, absolutely. So we go to her crib. And it was like a very
house.
Great. It was a very humble home too. Wow. Like she's actually so humble as a person. I was like really shocked. Like remember one time she was like, did you know the prices of film went up by like 120 yen? Can you imagine that? I was like, what?
That's crazy.
I was like, why do you know?
Yeah, is she a photographer?
She shoots photos sometimes, Anyways, I was like, just like going through my like, you know, post-grad crisis of like, who am I? Is things gonna be okay? And I was telling her my life story and like everything that happened as a kid, like all the bullying and stuff like that, and like all the family problems I went through. And she just like sat there and like listened. She was like, what do you like want to do for real? She was like, you should decide. And I was like, okay, like I'll be a director then. Because I was just thinking like through everything in my mind. If there was one thing I could be, it's probably that. She was like, okay, like you've had a really hard life. But the good thing about that is everyone that's in the top in Japan has had a really terrible life. But that's what is able to get them to where they are, and that they're able to have a lot of grit. So she was like, if you really want this, it's gonna be hard and it's gonna take time, and you might have to do like baito toka, or like, you know, like side jobs and stuff like that, but it is possible. And she was like, I've never met anyone like you, so if you want it, it'll happen. She was like, you can even name drop me. And I was like, I'm not gonna do that. She was like, you can do it, like say that you're my friend to like get jobs. No. Honestly, I never have. But I think like that really like changed my life. And I actually like haven't really seen her since that day. So this was like many years ago. Wow. And but like I held on to that hope for a really long time.
And after that point, you decided to become a director. What was kind of the moment that you felt the most proud of yourself, or a significant kind of like point?
I think now.
Right now? Oh my gosh. What makes you say that?
I think now because I'm like finally releasing like 2 like films that I wanted to do for like 3-4 years. And finally seeing it into fruition and making it happen. And like I think 114 people worked on both films, and a lot of them worked like almost for free or like for nothing. And that like I feel very fortunate and really blessed that was able to like come together. And I feel like the more I grow, the more I am more of like who I want to be and more of myself. And I am so grateful for that experience. That's incredible. What's the name of the film, by the way? One is called Mondai and one is called Shapeless.
Mondai and Shapeless. That's super exciting. And I feel like it's like a really, you know, you started off making a film, and then you kind of circled back to making another film. And so special.
I think like for directing, like most people end up being like commercial directors, right? Because it's what pays the food, bills, rent, everything. But it's so easy to get caught up in that cycle of like client work or commercial work. And I think most artists are like well aware of that dynamic. And to do personal work is really difficult and it's really hard. And it costs a lot of money as well. But I'm like happy that like I'm coming back into that journey more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think we're on to our last question.
Okay.
But what is your favorite quote and why?
My favorite quote. Wait,
or
can
like
I pull it
a
up?
piece of advice someone's given you is fine as well.
This was actually from high school
Mhm.
because I was like really unsatisfied with my life in high school in the sense that I didn't get into the college that I wanted to, things like that, because I was like, oh, I'm gonna go to like Harvard or something like that, and I didn't.
Yeah.
And my senior year quote was this quote from Beethoven, because I love Beethoven and I love playing the piano, but it was, I will seize fate by the throat. It shall certainly never wholly overcome me. And so that was like my thing where I was like, even if life hands you cards that are like not ideal, I won't like succumb to that. So even if someone's like, you're not gonna make it, you're not gonna like this film doesn't matter, or like this isn't working, like I don't think I want to do this for you, or like I think every point that someone said that to me, I was just been like that.
Because you're like, okay, fate is there, like
Yeah.
whatever I need to do, I'll get done, like
Yeah.
no matter what the hurdles are.
I think it's more like I thought that my fate was like the world felt like it was telling me that my fate was to not become anything, if that makes sense, because you're told like, oh, the college you get into is your like life determination, the first job you have sets you up for life, right? And like you're always told these assurances of benchmarks, which like now our generation is seeing more and more. All that is dog shit. Doesn't mean anything. Like the kind of like economy our parents grew up in of like certainty is not the ones that we're waking up to. And so for me, it was like, yeah, like flipping that on its head and saying like, why not? Why can't I do the things that I want to do?
Yeah. And I think that's really like liberating to just be like, absolutely. Okay, well, I'm just gonna do what matters.
And I think the older you get, it's even harder, but you know, I think it's even more important, like if you're like 70, why not do a career switch? If you're like 45 and you have kids, like it's hard, and it's obviously takes a lot more planning and saving and stuff like that, but like I really admire and encourage people to, I think, never give up on the life that they want. Yeah.
So true. I feel like I've met a lot of people who've had really unique like life circumstances, and a lot of the people that I went to college with, like I transferred into my dream college, but I definitely didn't get in high school. Yeah. And then once I got there, I was surrounded by people who were like in their 30s, maybe even older, like, and they were switching their career, switching their education, blah, 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 or going to college for the first time. Yeah. And we were all on level playing field. Like it was so inspiring to see that they could start their life whenever they wanted in a different way. And I was always like, oh, I don't have to like always do what I do. Like, no. And it shouldn't ever define me either. Yeah.
And I think especially as women, people are like, oh, you have only this amount of time or this amount of time.
Yeah.
Like, once you're 30, it's over. You're going to like not be hot when you're like 31.
Dude, I hate when people say
it's complete bullshit. Like I have so many friends that are in their 30s, 40s, 50s, gorgeous. You know what I mean? Living their best fucking life.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so all that is propaganda.
No, for real. Yeah, you can basically do whatever you want. And and at least in Japan, especially, I see it a lot. Where I see women like a lot older doing whatever they want, and it's like, okay, there's more of a pressure, I think, in India or like America, like or like cultures where I was brought up, and I saw that.
Yeah, it's definitely easier said than done for sure. Yeah. But I think it's possible, and I think people need to hold on to that hope.
Yes,
you know.
Yes. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
With that, thank you for joining us.
Absolutely.
Your story is honestly like a reminder that it takes so much grit and perseverance to like truly carve your own path, and making something that's true to yourself in Japan. And I'll have her information in the description where you guys can learn more about her work as well. But thank you so much, Ameya. And thank you guys for listening to Tokyo Talks. If this conversation moved you, inspired you, or made you rethink your path, share it, subscribe, and follow for more. And we'll be sharing more inspirational stories. See you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.